All right, let's do it. I got some fun topics for today. Might break them into smaller videos. I get a lot of longer notes from people occasionally, and in this case it's from a guy I've known since high school. And he's a nice guy, and he cares. He cares about me and the project. There was a great teacher I had in high school who really cared about his students. I mean, a major influence on my life. And so when this guy sends his note that understands a lot of what I'm doing and has entirely reasonable questions asking about things he doesn't, it makes me want to, write a long, smart note back. But I figure I might as well just turn those into videos. And I will omit details like his name, you notice I didn't mention, because other people are also interested, because what I'm doing is actually pretty darn interesting. So I wrote down a few of the topics, and I'll address them because they'll benefit more people than just him. That's not a way of avoiding communicating directly with him. It's just more people could benefit. And I've gotten used to talking into a camera and occasionally being eloquent. That's a stretch, maybe quite a stretch. So one is, as I talk about financial issues, I think it's important to talk about those because there's really cool channels out there. Like a different person just recommended to me one called The Camp, with a K, I think. There'll be a link in the description if I remember. But they seem very well financed, very well organized. It's a group, which is far more interesting than just a couple people or one guy in the forest. But as I consider how to invite people here again, they actually have a lot of great topics they cover about how they do things, and it's fairly realistic. And they've got their funding figured out, so they do crowdfunding, which is a bright idea. And I want to do some crowdfunding myself. I made a video about different types of topics I would potentially crowdfund. And I have to do some polling, market research, I guess, on what would be most interesting to people in that regard. But that wasn't what he was asking me about. He was mentioning, since I'm getting a little older, you can see the gray here, could I get Social Security? Well, I'm not old enough for regular Social Security, but I could get disability Social Security. And that's the topic of this video so far. The answer is probably yeah. I mean, I am messed up. I'm psychologically screwed up, physically somewhat, given my lifestyle messed up. And my last response to him was, well, I don't really want to get Social Security because I'm not a socialist and I don't like stealing from taxpayers. But as he pointed out correctly, they stole from me. It's my money. So I'm not against getting Social Security. And I could get diagnosed with a disability. I'm very diagnosable. I've gotten informal diagnoses from tons of people, especially ex-girlfriends. They really love to diagnose you. But the thing is, I've been diagnosed with far too many things for it to be reasonable. I can't have everything, and I know what I actually would diagnose myself with. And it's, I would hire someone, I guess, to be an expert doctor and say, yeah, that's what you sound like you are. And I'm pretty self-aware, so I know that I am. But I don't give a fuck, and I don't think that other people should have to pay for my weakness. And you say, oh, it's a sickness, not a weakness. Whatever, fuck that. I mean, I could work if I had to. And I'm not willing to do certain things, I'm willing to do others. And I've known some people who are on disability, and they had side jobs making money, so they were screwing the taxpayers over while they were also making money because they can actually work. And my opinion of such people is very, very low. If you are one of them, I'm not trying to insult you personally, but I think what you're doing is fucking wrong. I mean, it is actually illegal as well, right? So that's just a bad way to be. I gotta tie my shoe here. And I may be crazy in some sense. I definitely am, because I'm out of tune with regular society. But regular society is murderous, evil, thrives on ignorance, and being good slaves. So yeah, you know, diagnose me all you want. I'm a fucking terrorist if I terrorize your stupid ass, horrible, genocidal viewpoints, you know, or your support of the state, or your continual, you know, generational violence that you propagate in everything that you do. Not you personally, I don't know you, but you know that's the world you're surrounded by. You're looking at an entirely suicidal culture in which civilization is going to fail. And yeah, I've got various delusions. I've got delusions of grandeur. Great. I mean, I'm not going to go into every possible diagnosis. I mean, you could say I'm a narcissist because I talk into a camera, but I don't got anybody else to talk to. You know, and I got lots of pictures of me online. I'm a good model. I'm real cheap. And I document my life, and I share it. I don't think that means I think I'm narcissistic. I don't think I'm that great. I guess there's official different definitions. I don't manipulate people. I'm honest as fuck with people. I tell them who the fuck I am, and if they don't like it, that's fine. I don't care. I don't like me all the time either. I'm not perfect. And I think that, as an aside, that's actually one of the reasons my videos I think are more interesting, is because so many people are trying to have an Instagram world and a fake face they're presenting, and they're all happy and perfect. But I've talked to just thousands and thousands of people, and I know that's not how they are on the inside. I know people are wearing happy masks, and it's fine. Maybe we need to do that. Maybe that's good for society in some way. But not if it's crushing you inside, and not if everyone's lying and they're supporting evil things. You know? Don't do that. Don't fall for that shit. So I'm not saying we should all whine about a lot of stuff, and I certainly don't like that I probably come across as whiny in some of my videos. Why is this gate moved? Maybe there was wind that moved it. I don't like that when things move. Anyway, so the short answer is no, I don't feel like getting diagnosed to survive, and it's my own fault. All my failures are my own fault. I am going to do crowdfunding. I am going to ask people for money, but it's going to be voluntary. Nobody should be forced to pay for my delusions, which I think are actually reasonable, and I think common reality is the delusion, but whatever. See, I could cut this and make new videos, like shorter videos, but screw it, it's all going to get AI edited someday anyway. And, you know, people say make little short videos that people like, and it's like, no, fuck that shit. I'll just walk along and talk as if you were here with me, you know. A lot of people like talking to me, or have liked talking to me. And, yeah, it's rambly, but it all fits together. It's a bigger picture. So, he also did mention that I have too many ideas, and it's true. I'm scattered by the scale. It's not that I'm scattered because I'm an idiot. I'm scattered because the scale at which I'm thinking about recreating culturally how we do everything in the world is just really too big to think about. And I'm not a specific expert on any part of it, but I question expertise in general. Certainly certificationalism is bullshit. But it is true. I have to focus on a few areas that actually cause survival, because the pressure of being a slave to the bank with the debt that I have is really bad. It only gets worse. And they want to keep me as a debt slave. They want to keep me poor. They love that shit. You know, so right now people donate to service the bank. And as soon as I can get out of that debt, then they won't be charging me 30% anymore, because I think they're now charging me 30%. Then I won't be paying as much, if anything, to the bank, because I won't be running a debt load ever again. This is the only time I'm running a debt load. It started after an injury I had, and you know, I live super cheap. And then people can once again be donating and knowing that their money is going a really cool project and a very interesting person. That'd be me and my cute dogs. And doing things that nobody else can do, or is willing to, or would think of, or, and I'm going to do things that aren't profitable. Like make designs for things that I think are world-changing, but that anyone can use the design. Everyone else is just thinking, how can I come up with something, own it, make lots of money, and then live a life of luxury? And it's like, I reject all of that for me personally. Now, I do realize that as I talk about the lifestyle I promote, not everybody needs to live like I do, okay? I am an experiment. And some people feel judged that I'm saying, well, this is bad for the environment, that's bad for the environment. It's like, well, I'm not judging you. You do what you want to do. Now, I live on probably 1/20th of the electricity and other energy that I used back in the city. And I have the positive impact of planting and protecting the forest and stuff. So that isn't to say that I'm then going to judge people I consider friends, and whether they're friends or not is irrelevant. But, I'm not telling you what you should do. You have to do what you need to do in the space you're in, with what you've got, with your values, with your goals. And so even if somebody wants to make a shit ton of money, great, do it. Money's also fake, so whatever. Pleasure is temporary. Nothing, all this shit just doesn't matter at all, but do it if you want, I read articles about what percentage of energy used is just people flying around. It's one of the biggest wastes that there is. And I haven't flown for over a decade. I flew twice in the last 20 years. And I'm not saying it's an evil thing to do, but if you did consider yourself an ecologist or environmentalist in some way, and you're flying around the world to give speeches about it, you might want to wonder about that. That's bullshit. So I will call it hypocrisy, but it's not really my job. I just don't care, I already know that pretty much everyone is destroying the planet, and they're all going to point fingers at each other and say, oh, it's the rich people, oh, it's those people over there, it's the people in this country or that country. And it's like, it is true that poor people who use less resources are less guilty. But you probably fit into relatively wealthy person with lots of opportunity. Maybe not. I don't know who's watching this. But that's for you to judge. You look in your own mirror. You figure that shit out, okay? I'll look in my own mirror. I'll evaluate what my options are. And I'll try and do great things. And I'll try and inspire you. I mean, that's why I share it. Throw out half of what I say. I don't care. Throw out 90%. But if there's an idea that I can share with you that somehow fits in with your life to make you a better person for the people around you, and then you get to be around better people because they're around better people, everybody wins. Maybe, we can even save 1 billion or 2 people on the planet from going extinct, and we can actually make a world that's better than it's ever been before. And that's the kind of optimistic shit I should be saying, not just the pessimistic shit I usually say. Because it's obvious to me how fragile civilization is. Some people just can't imagine things could be any different, Like, let's just choose Americans, okay? Everybody slams on Americans because they're bigoted fuckwads. Not the Americans, everybody else. But they're just easy to slam on the Americans because they're the current golden age civilization, although they're in a very fragile position themselves. And they have no concept of how to realize that because they haven't had any wars on their soil. They haven't had any really bad economic times in their memory. They don't even remember the Depression, and that wasn't even that bad. I mean, the potato famine was worse than that. I mean, famines all around the world have been worse than that. So the point is, people are soft and weak, and they're going to make a worse and worse situation for the world. They're going to encourage big government. They're going to discourage personal incentive. They are going to destroy the planet. And like I said, I'm not right-wing, left-wing, or anything, but freedom and self-ownership shouldn't be either of those, or we'll just drop the right and left completely. Fuck them both, Let's go with rule of law, equality for all, of opportunity at least, and get rid of the fucking corruption that's pervasive in every single system you know of. I mean, you can barely make a system without it going corrupt. So we have to think of anti-corruption systems as we create a new system. anti-corruption attributes within a system, and the attitude within everyone that we don't fucking put up with that. And we don't make exceptions for ourselves either. That's the worst thing, is everybody says, well, it's a corrupt world, so I'm just going to do this one bad thing. I'll steal in this one way. I will collude with someone. I will manipulate the system. You know, and everybody's fucking living off the taxpayers. Like, that's how you really succeed, is to get into government or religion and then just rape the fuck out of people. I mean, the underlying fundamental fucking goals and methods of how the world works are corrupt through and through. You know, that's why educational systems suck. Public education itself is very questionable. I mean, I had good experiences in public education. I've been to private schools. I've been to religious schools. I was raised in all kinds of places. I didn't go to school very long in one place. But that did give me an opportunity to see how they operate differently. And I've observed in certain cases where public education is absolute horrible. It's child abuse. It's a terrible thing. So I lost my list. I don't know what I was fucking ranting about now. Yeah, my ideas are too big. I mean, I think about architecture, diet. When you really talk about designing an alternative culture, it's too big a topic for people to fathom. And if I'm honest with people about a whole bunch of different views, every one of them is going to say, well, that is a weird idea. That's not going to work. And they haven't thought about it. They just know that it's not what's normal. You're right. I'm suggesting something that is absolutely abnormal. And so, you know, even this video I shouldn't publish, right? Because first of all, I'm being critical of everything, but not on an individual basis. And I hope you join me in my criticism. I hope you look around and say, wow, I'm contributing to the world being worse in some ways. How can I stop doing that? And how can I contribute to a better one? That's up to you. I mean, you can listen to crazy fuckers like me, that's just fine. But you have to be you. You have to own you. Or at least get away from the systems that are using you. Don't be a slave. Don't be a house slave. House slaves are just as bad as slaves. And the owners, too, are trapped, you know. This is one of the excuses why patriarchy, the concept of patriarchy is good, is because it's like, well, patriarchy, if we got rid of that, it would help men, too. And it's like, well, pick a fucking different word. Don't use a sexist fucking word if you want, with your theoretical feminism, which is often just bullshit. Not real feminism. I mean, none of these words mean anything is the problem. We can't fucking talk. Like I said earlier, I'm against socialism. Yeah, I'm against the forced entry of the government into every fucking part of your economic activity. And I'm against, you know, politicians always getting richer regardless of the name. You know, I don't agree that capitalism even exists. The U.S. is not a capitalist country. It doesn't fit the definition in any way. It's corrupt as fuck. It's an oligarchy. It's a plutocracy. Plutocracy means wealth controlled by the wealthy. Do I really have to talk this fast? Fuck it. Why not? Keep up. So, yes, my ideas are too big. And the bad thing about that is that they're too big to actually implement without working with other people. And that's where I get stuck. Because I invited way too many people here who had no interest in creating. They just wanted to take. A bunch of them are trustafarians. They have no skills. They have no attention span. They don't care about anyone but themselves. Although, you know, they talk about love and light and all this bullshit. So I need hardcore people. I need hardcore people who pencil out. Who do agree with a lot of what I say, and I'm writing down a lot of what I say. So we need to make social agreements for basic social functioning, what's okay and what isn't okay. This is something that people should do with intentional communities, where it's not just like, let's get a bunch of nice people together and it'll all work out. No, it will not work out. That's shown over and over again. You will have the usual conflicts. You will fall apart. You will, if you are successful and pretty, you will attract moochers who will destroy you. So you have to have defense mechanisms in the community against being destroyed. You have to get people away from your community who break local law or custom enough that you will be in trouble. So you're going to need to follow the law for the most part. And you know, if you want to be weirdos somewhere, don't be obvious weirdos in affecting the local community. At least not where I live, because they will destroy you. And if I let you, a dangerous influence, into the community, and I've done that. I've invited people who are direct threats to my survival here. You know, I mean, geez, the first volunteer I had here, got arrested for selling pot to kids down in town, and it's like, that's how I met the police. That's not a good thing. That was years and years and years ago. I still don't forget it. And I've met a lot of other people who are not good enough. So I have to figure out, how do I filter people? And as you watch this, your first filter is, God damn, that guy sounds like a grumpy asshole. Yeah, I know that. I'm aware. Or God damn, that guy's been doing this so long and he's not successful. Well, first, if I ever am successful, you're not going to hear about it, because that would attract the wrong people. I'm looking for people who would appreciate that I've built a base and do like the things I'm willing to express, and we can then discuss further at length, and they can introduce themselves at length. Because I get, messaged by anonymous people all the time, wanting information, wanting to know more, and they're looking for a place where they can take. And I've hosted these fuckers before. Hell with them. I'm not anonymous. I am on this channel. But plenty of people know who I am. I've got an excellent reputation, and I'm going to protect that. I mean, I've been, lied about. That's true. If you do anything interesting, you will be lied about. Even in the comments here, someone's going to make up some shit, and whatever, I'll just block them. Fuck them. Or I'll be amused. It depends on which insults are triggers for me or not. But, so I need to pick people who have skills, not just with, specific, like, job skill sets, but also interpersonal skills, self-awareness, self-criticism, not, shouting at people and trying to control everyone around them. People who are raised like fucking babies and never had to try anything difficult in their life, or people who think that their idea is the only right way. Because my goal is to set a framework that's very basic, of right ways that we all agree on, and that actually allows for a greater diversity in how we can do things. And I don't know if that makes any sense to you. I've said it many times. But we have to have rule of law. We have to have social agreements. But hopefully those free us up to not be constrained all the time, to not always be wondering, am I okay? Is this okay? No, most everything should be fucking just fine if you get the right people together who have a social agreement. That's critical. Another thing that this guy touched on, that he didn't say it this way, but it was a matter of doing things the perfect way you can get done in an ideal world, or what you can get done now. And some manager mentioned to me that the perfect is the enemy of the good enough. This vision of a utopian perfection, or just having things like we're ready to get it all done right now the perfect way, is somewhat delusional. It's going to have to be fairly experimental. Things will go wrong. We know that. We will adjust. And so we can't be paralyzed by this notion of having to do things the perfect right way. One of the examples of that is my solar energy system, which I could probably do a crowdfunding effort on that. I have a lot of contacts with people, and just get it up and running again. Because right now I'm burning gasoline to get online. That's terrible. So, I mean, I'm living against my own values. I did just get, a guy told me he had the number of a local solar guy. I'm not an electrician. I'm not going to try to be everything. I have to partner with people who have different skill sets than I have, and they're hopefully better people than I am in some ways, many ways. But he could actually do it. He could fix my small solar power system, and I could easily crowdfund it. It would be nothing for some people to contribute to that, and that would put me back online. It would make me be panicked less, and it wouldn't even cost very much. I have a 1500 watt inverter. It's a Xantrex inverter. It's with an X. My batteries are the problem. 2 of them are leaking out of 8. I don't know. I changed my batteries a while back, and they did work for a while. And then one of them is overheating and bulging to the point where I think it's going to blow up and catch on fire. And the reason I mention this is to say that when I think about a new solar power system, I think, oh, well, I should get like a Powerwall 3 from Tesla, or I should, get like a bigger system that will serve many people and work great. And it's like, well, right now I have to solve an immediate problem. And I only had 340 watts of panels before, running through the 1500 watt inverter. Solar panels have gotten suddenly super cheap due to a glut in the market and technology improvements. So I could get, 1500 watts of panels and enough batteries to handle that. And I already have cables buried to other buildings. So that right there would start out being able to support more people, and I would have all the power I need. Because right now at nighttime it's dark, I'm sitting there with a candle, and so I'm actually wasting hours of potentially useful labor. And then sometimes I have my laptop charged, so I just watch movies and consume media, and consumption is terrible. It's not terrible. I like movies and TV shows, but I'm actually, the darkness is keeping me from being functional at night. And this is true of poor people around the world. One of the first technologies you do want to get to them is LED lighting and small solar power systems, so that their labor can be used at night, and so also so they can charge cell phones and be in contact. In other words, we don't have as big a poverty problem as we had before, but we still have poverty in the world, and those people their labor is being wasted. And we could get them on board, not to become like us, because we're horrible, not to get more cars and more technology and everything, but to get them in communication with light at night, health and water, some real basics here would move us along, and that would be very, very valuable. So anyway, I could do some crowdfunding project just to get myself up to that level. Let's go to the next page of my little notes here. Maybe I'll just pause here for a second, because I've arrived in town, and I don't want to walk around in town talking this loudly to the camera. In fact, why do I talk so loud? I get excited, and for some reason with the camera I think I have to talk really loud, but this is a pretty good mic. This is a Zoom camera, not Zoom the webcam service, but a Zoom brand, and often musicians like these because they have good audio. There's actually a very small Zoom camera I want to get that, it's like very small. It looks like a little obelisk almost, and I need to check if it uses the same battery. Doesn't matter, but that would be an example of a great sponsor. And what I do have on my notes here to talk about how can you help. And one of the ways is to help me find sponsors that I actually agree with, that I don't morally object to. And since most products I'm against, it limits what I'm willing to have as sponsors. And I should make a whole other video about how I would make a decision about what sponsors I want, then make a sponsor package of what channels that they can be on, and how I'm going to promote their product with product placement or product reviews. I want to make a product review channel, for stuff like solar, batteries, and stuff like that. My friend did mention that, sometimes it seems like I'm working against myself by some of my messaging and my tone, perhaps. I don't know what he meant exactly, but the fact that I don't come across in a polished way, like I could make outlines for videos, and I'll probably do this too, make outlines for organized videos and plan out my thoughts to manipulate you in the way to do what I want you to do. But it isn't what I'm going to do on this channel. On this channel, I'm just going to be like me. And that might be you don't like me. That's fine. Make a comment. You can tell me you hate me. I don't give a shit. But it will help me find the right people who actually need to know, if they were going to be involved in this project, they need to know who the hell I am. And it's true, I'm not as spastic in person in my conversational style. Actually, sometimes I am. But some people, if I just rub them the wrong way, then they don't come here, fine. But do something similar elsewhere with different kind of people. Do it yourself. Buy your own land. Make your own thing. Certainly don't tell me what I have to do. I take suggestions very well. But anybody who tells me what I have to do, gets tuned out real quick, especially if they don't even know what I'm doing. Hopefully with that kind of honesty, I can inspire others to do similar things. And again, I'm not judging people. Not everyone should do things the way I'm doing them. I'm not saying I'm good at all. I'm not happy the way I'm living, but this is part of me changing that, is by putting out there my ideas and seeing who that resonates with. I do judge people who say things like that. Anybody who talks about vibrations and shit, it's just like, God damn. I mean, I have a singing bowl. It vibrates, you know, but... And then the other thing you mentioned was, can I still get PayPal donations? And yes, I can. I'm working on my debt thing. I don't just want to pay the debt. I talked to my bank. I actually told several people not to send me money, which is very counterintuitive. And he asked another really important question that most people wouldn't even think of. And it's been a big problem for me for 20 years. The big problem is I don't have an address. I can't get a delivery here. And now they have Amazon in this country. They have Amazon in the U.S. Some people want to donate stuff by mailing it to me. I'm still wearing clothing that was donated to me. Somebody sent me a box of old clothes that were fine for me. Actually, they weren't all old. They actually bought some, I think, for me. But I haven't had an address to send things to for 20 years. It was stable. I briefly had one because they opened up a place that was in that business. But that guy closed. So for like a year, I had an address. And I'm talking right now with a hotel and going to try and have this hotel be able to receive packages for me. They've agreed to it, but now I need to order some stuff or have some people send me some stuff to test the system, because I don't want to order expensive stuff. Well, I might do it anyway, but you know, like I was thinking small stuff, but even solar panels. Like my friend here, the way he got his solar panels was he got them delivered to a town, about 4 towns over that way, at a place that was willing to accept a package for him. And so he got his 550 watt solar panels, and you figure I would want to get 4 to 5 of those for my new solar power system. They're so cheap, it's crazy. He paid like $200 each. So for $800, I could max out what my inverter could handle, get the local solar guy to recommend a battery that I can get. Batteries are very heavy. And, you know, like marine deep cycle, gel cell batteries, whatever. I'm not an expert on these things, but you know, you can't just use car batteries. You got to use batteries that are made for solar. And so this could magically make it so that I would have, you know, 5 times the amount of electricity I've ever had here in 4 different buildings, and the other circuit's broken to another building, and I could fix that. Unfortunately, the way to fix it is to dig it up. So that's labor involved there. That one at least is only about 100 meters away. That's still a ways. No, it's further than that. But anyway, digging up cables is not great. So I have an address now. So if people want to send me something, they can. It is a solved problem now, almost. I just have to test it. So that's my response to this guy. It brings up a lot of issues, doesn't it? As far as you not knowing me and what the hell I'm doing, well, I'm going to get better at that, about describing the roles that I want people to be in here. I'm going to make a form. It might be in the description of this if I get it done, of how you can suggest being here. But I'll tell you this right now. I'm sick of people who just are saying, I want to go there. It looks fun. It looks good. I want to go there. No, you have to fucking introduce yourself. That would be like showing up at a company and saying, I want a job. Can you give me a job? No, you have to at least have a resume, a cover letter, and then get interviewed. And that's just for a job. If I have people here, they're living with me. I have to help them solve problems that they don't know how to solve. I have to instruct them on how not to be a risk for me and destroy everything about this place. Essentially, I'm interviewing a housemate, employee, paid or unpaid, probably unpaid, so their job will be partly funding themselves, but I can help on that. And I have many roles, all the roles that you can think of that would exist in a small town. I have all those roles. almost. And I definitely need help. I need mental help. And I'm willing to share the ugliness of the process. I'm willing to show how bad things are in the place I live. I mean, I can show you roofs falling down. You know, I can show you my mental complexities, which are good or bad depending on your point of view. And hopefully make designs that are really amazing, that then other people can borrow and use. And we can really start to actually build a real new world, and not do it in some kind of idealistic, dumbass way, but, you know, not expecting people to be different than what they are, but understanding people are how they are. Oh, wow. My neighbors have a Starlink dish over there. Holy mackerel. That's the first time I've seen any Starlink dish except my own. That is so cool. And they have it on a pole. I got to put mine on a pole because it's just sitting on my porch. All right, that's it. I'm out. Got shit to do.